The diplomatic chamber stretched vast and cold, its walls carved from obsidian that seemed to drink the light from the floating orbs above. Captain Marcus Reed stood at attention, his dress uniform crisped despite the 3-month journey through the outer reach. Behind him, his crew maintained their positions, backs straight, eyes forward. They had come to the edge of known space for this moment, to meet with the rulers of the Veltheran Empire and negotiate humanity's first treaty with a truly alien civilization. The doors opened without sound, massive panels of crystalline metal sliding apart to reveal the procession. Marcus had studied what little information Earth Command possessed about Veltherans, had watched grainy footage from probe encounters, had memorized every detail in the briefing files. None of it prepared him for seeing them in person. The delegation moved with fluid grace, their forms tall and angular, wrapped in flowing garments that shifted colors like oil on water. They wore masks, elaborate constructs of silver and blue that covered their faces entirely, leaving only darkness where eyes might be. According to the files, no human had ever seen a Veltheran face. They considered it sacred, intimate beyond measure, revealed only to blood family and bonded mates. At the center of the group walked someone different. She stood taller than the rest, her mask more ornate, crusted with gems that caught the dim light and threw it back in prismatic cascades. The Crown Princess Lyria, heir to the Veltheran throne. The one person who could approve or deny humanity's petition for passage through their territory, for trade rights, for a chance to prove that humans deserved a place among the civilized species of the galaxy. Marcus bowed, the gesture carefully practiced to match Veltheran custom. His team followed suit. "Your Highness," he said, his voice steady despite the hammering of his heart. "On behalf of humanity and the United Earth Coalition, we thank you for granting us this audience." The princess stopped 3 meters away. When she spoke, her voice emerged melodic, but filtered through the mask, given an ethereal quality that raised the hair on his neck. "Captain Reed, your people have traveled far. You seek much. We seek only friendship, your Highness. A chance to learn, to trade, to exist peacefully alongside your great empire. Friendship." The word seemed to amuse her. "You understand what you ask is unprecedented. We do not befriend lesser species. We do not trade with those who have not proven themselves worthy." Marcus kept his expression neutral, though the word stung. Lesser species. It was the same phrase used in every report, every intercepted communication. To the Veltherans, humans were primitives, barely evolved beyond their home planet, unworthy of notice except as a potential nuisance. "Then let us prove ourselves, your Highness. Give us a task, a challenge. Let us demonstrate that humanity deserves your respect." The princess tilted her head, a gesture that might have been curiosity. Around her, the other delegates murmured in their own language, sounds like wind chimes in a storm. "You would submit to our judgment? If that is what it takes for our people to survive." Marcus met where he imagined her eyes might be behind the mask. "Our colony ships need passage through your space. Without it, we face decades of detours, and we have refugees who cannot wait that long. If we must earn that passage, then we will." Silence filled the chamber. Marcus could hear his own breathing, could feel sweat beginning to form despite the cool air. Everything hinged on this moment. 6 billion people back on the overcrowded stations orbiting Earth, waiting for word that new worlds lay within reach. The princess moved closer, her steps soundless on the polished floor. She stood now less than a meter away, and Marcus could see his own reflection distorted in her masked surface. "You speak with conviction, Captain. But words are easy. Your species is known for beautiful words that mask ugly intentions. Then judge us by our actions, not our words." "Very well." She turned to her delegation, spoke in rapid Veltheran. They responded with what sounded like shock, their voices rising. She silenced them with a gesture, then turned back to Marcus. "There is a tradition among my people. When two houses seek alliance, when trust must be established between strangers, we perform the unveiling. One party removes their mask in the presence of the other, making themselves vulnerable, showing that they harbor no deception." Marcus's mouth went dry. The briefing files had mentioned this, buried in footnotes marked as unconfirmed rumors. The unveiling was considered the highest form of trust, so intimate that it bordered on taboo. "Your Highness, we would never ask such a thing of you. You do not ask. I offer." She raised her hands to her mask. "If I show you my face, if I make myself vulnerable before you and your kind, will you swear on your human honor to deal with us honestly? To never raise weapons against my people, unless we raise them first? To prove yourselves worthy of the trust I place in you? I swear it. On my life and the lives of everyone I represent, I swear it." Her delegates protested loudly now, stepping forward, but she waved them back. Her fingers found the clasps at the sides of her mask. "Then witness Captain Marcus Reed of humanity. Witness and remember." The mask came away. Marcus had expected something alien, something that his human mind would struggle to process. He had braced himself for shock, for the need to hide revulsion, for the diplomatic nightmare of showing the wrong reaction. He was not prepared for what he saw. Her face was delicate, formed of the same pale blue skin that covered the rest of her body, but smoother, almost luminescent in the chamber's light. Her eyes were large and dark, multifaceted like gemstones, reflecting depths he could not measure. High cheekbones tapered to a narrow chin, and her mouth, though shaped differently from a human's, curved in what could only be a smile. Patterns like silver filigree traced across her forehead and down her cheeks, natural markings that caught the light with every slight movement. She was not human. She would never be mistaken for human Dot, but as she stood there, mask held at her side, meeting his gaze with those impossible eyes, Marcus found himself speaking without thought, without calculation, without any consideration for diplomacy or politics, or the weight of billions depending on his words. "Beautiful," he whispered. The chamber fell silent. The princess's eyes widened, and for a moment Marcus thought he had made a catastrophic mistake, that he had insulted her or broken some unknown protocol. Then she smiled fully, and it transformed her face into something radiant. She walked toward him, closing the final distance, and Marcus stood frozen, aware that every person in the room watched this moment, that it would be recorded and analyzed and debated for years to come. She stopped directly before him, so close he could feel the warmth radiating from her skin, could see the rise and fall of her breath. "In all the species we have encountered," she said softly, "in all the diplomatic exchanges and first contacts, never has anyone called us beautiful. They call us strange, alien, difficult to understand. They hide their fear or disgust behind careful neutrality." She reached out, and Marcus felt her fingers, long and graceful, touch his cheek. "But you see me, truly see me, and you find beauty. That is why I believe your words, Captain. That is why I will recommend that my father grant your people passage." Marcus felt something shift in his chest, some fundamental change in how he viewed the universe and humanity's place in it. They had come as supplicants, as the desperate and the needy, prepared to prove themselves worthy of scraps from the table of a greater power. But in this moment, he understood something deeper. True alliance, true friendship between species, would not come from proving superiority or from one side dominating the other. It would come from moments like this, from seeing past the alien exterior to recognize the person beneath, from having the courage to speak truth even when calculation might demand otherwise. "Your Highness," he said, his voice rough with emotion. He did not try to hide. "I hope this is the beginning of a long friendship between our peoples." We have much to learn from each other." She lowered her hand, but did not step away. "I believe you are right, Captain Red, and I think perhaps my people have as much to learn from yours as you have from us." She glanced back at her still shocked delegation. "We have seen ourselves as superior for so long that we have forgotten how to see others clearly. You have reminded me that different does not mean lesser." She replaced her mask then, the moment of vulnerability ending, but Marcus knew he would carry the memory of her face for the rest of his life. Not because she was alien, not because the moment held diplomatic significance, but because in that instant he had seen past all the barriers of species and culture to recognize a kindred spirit, someone who sought connection across the vast gulfs that separated thinking beings. The negotiations that followed went smoothly. The treaty was signed. Humanity gained its passage through Veltharan space, gained trade agreements and cultural exchanges, gained a foothold among the civilized species of the galaxy. But Marcus never forgot that the foundation of it all rested on a single word, spoken without thought or guile, in a moment when truth mattered more than strategy. Beautiful.